you've never been to therapy, you may be wondering, what does a first session with a therapist look like? Well, I normally have a virtual background behind me when I'm making these videos, but I figured if you want to know what a first session with me is like, then I'll show you. This is what my clients see, and you can see in the background that my clients also often get to see my golden retriever, Lucy, and she often will join for sessions. And yes, this is me. I have my home office set up, and obviously you see it's my kitchen that's in the background behind me. And so a first session is a time where I like to have it be more organic, more natural, more like a conversation, and it's a snapshot in time. Sometimes for first sessions, depending on your therapist style, it may be more structured where there's a Q&A with specific questions that you'll be asked. My preference is to let it feel more natural. And so I often will start with just introducing myself and explaining confidentiality and that what we will talk about in session is private and I don't share that with anyone. And I explain some of the few exceptions to that. And then I often will ask you, if you're the new client sitting with me, tell me a little bit about what brought you here, what you're wanting to see different in your life, and what you're hoping therapy can change for you. And then I hear from you as to what you're wanting to see in your life when you look forward, what the types of things you want to see your life look like that'll make it more meaningful and quality filled to you. And then I usually ask, well, again, what brought you here? What's going on right now? And so we call that the presenting problem. And that's usually there's some sort of issue that has brought a client into therapy for the first time. It can be something like they feel depressed. It can also be I'm having issues in my relationship with my partner. It can be I'm extremely dissatisfied at work and I want to figure out what next steps I should make. It can be you've experienced trauma in the past and you've never really dealt with it or talked about it, and you feel like you're having a lot of anxiety and sleep disruption and things like that, and you're wanting to figure out how to cope with it. Sometimes it can be just figuring out what you want to be meaningful in your life. But all of that is how we set the compass to point us as a partnership in the direction that we'll want to go in future sessions. I often will ask a few questions depending on how the conversation goes about your history. I usually want to hear about what things were like for you growing up, both in your family of origin, with peers, with school, how far you went in school. Did you go to college? Did you go right into working? And asking about relationship history. Have you been in a romantic relationship before? If so, what does that look like? Are you currently in a romantic relationship? What's that looking like? How's that going? How are you satisfied in that? And we'll talk about work. What's your work history? What have been things in your jobs that you've appreciated? What have been things that you haven't liked? Are you currently working? If so, how satisfied are you with that? And we'll look at some of these different domains of your life and figure out what you're satisfied with and what you're not. I'll ask about medical issues if you have any medical issues that you feel are interrupting things in your life or causing problems. We may even talk about your psychological history. Have you had treatment before? Have you taken medication before? And it's a space for me to really establish my approach, which is very humanistic based, which is all about unconditional positive regard, non-judgment, human to human. I'm a human too. We're all trying to manage our lives as best as we can within being in the human condition. And so that's a lot of what a first session will look like. And then towards the end, we may talk about, well, how often would you like to meet? And if you don't know, that's okay too, because we can talk through frequency and what might be the best fit for you. And then I typically give you my contact information if you don't already have it and let you know the best ways to reach me. So that's a little bit about what a first session with me would look like.